Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander.
And welcome to another episode of our Card Spotlight series in which I highlight a card that I think should see more play in Commander. But before that, just a quick reminder to click subscribe if you enjoy my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and your support means everything to me. And today we're going to be talking about Sword of Forge and Frontier. For 3 colorless, it's an artifact equipment with equipped creature gets +2/+2 enhanced protection from red and from green. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. You may play an additional land this turn and equip 2. So this card currently sees play in about 2% of all decks on EDHREC.com. That's considering that it can go in any deck because it's a colorless card and it's part of the sword cycle as well, which is usually quite appealing. So what's going on? Why is this card not being played that much? Honestly, I'm not sure. I think it might come down to scarcity because this card is one of the best ones in the sword cycle in my opinion. It's definitely in the top 5, probably the top 3 of the best swords. So I think this should be seeing a lot more play than it currently is. It's less niche as well than some of the other swords. This Sword of Truth and Justice, for example, which is a proliferate one, is great in those kind of decks, but pretty mediocre in most other decks. Whereas Sword of Forge and Frontier is a lot more universally good. But let's quickly analyze what this card does, what's good about it, and what is maybe not quite that good. First off, the protection. Protection from red and from green is fairly useful, but not the most useful combination of colors. Green doesn't have that much targeted removal, although there are a lot of green creatures in the format, and stuff like Beast Within is ubiquitous, so it isn't completely irrelevant, but certainly is not the best protection. Protection from red is a lot better though, seeing as Blasphemous Act is one of the most played board wipes in the format, and there's a lot of red damage-based removal running around. So the 2 colors it has protection from are fairly relevant, but let's move on to the actual ability on the card. So when it deals combat damage to a player, you're going to exile the top 2 cards of your library, and you may play those this turn. So usually impulse draw effects like this are fairly strong. This would cost about 2 mana normally, and that's basically what you're paying here if you factor in the equip cost if this only triggers 1 time. Of course, if it triggers multiple times, you're getting potentially more value each time, and we haven't even looked at the fact that you may play an additional land this turn. So that's kinda like ramp, and it's really good because it gives a lot of decks that normally might not be able to run green a ramp effect. It actually isn't tied to the sword trigger, so you can just put an extra land into play from your hand later on in the turn if you happen to have multiple lands in hand. That's actually a very powerful effect, even without the impulse draw. But the impulse draw and the extra land drop really synergize very well, seeing as it's fairly likely that you'll exile a land with this card, and you might have already played a land this turn, but then suddenly you can drop an extra land and you might be able to play something else that you exile with this. It's a powerful combination of effects, to be honest, and it can provide some very serious card advantage, effectively drawing you 2 cards if the cards line up right. That seems to me to be stronger than a lot of the other sword effects, and certainly you're getting a lot for your mana here if you manage to connect with this card. I think the reason maybe it hasn't seen that much play is that a lot of players are a bit risk averse with exiling cards and don't want to be stuck exiling a really powerful or good card that they don't get to play then because it's just gone forever if you don't play it that turn. That is a reasonable fear. It will happen some of the time, but I think the amount of times that you're just going to get absolutely massive card advantage with this and even ramp is going to outweigh those few times that you'll maybe exile your bomb that you really wanted to cast. It is worth noting as well that this card gets significantly worse if your deck is very reactive. You definitely want this in more proactive strategies because again, exiling counter spells or board wipes that you might not necessarily be able to use at that time is a little bit awkward. So definitely try this out in your proactive decks and reap the benefits because this card is incredibly powerful. So there you have it. Those have been my thoughts on this new spoiler. What do you think about this card? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care. Woo!